Hi guys, this is our last story in this journey, and it's called Story Swapping with Lakti. As the wheels came up and the big shiny yellow skies dropped down, the bookmobile slided across the ice. The girls had arrived in the Arctic region of Canada. They were bundled up in parkas, earmuffs, boots, and mittens. Campbell looked out the window. Look! Reindeer! The bookmobile stopped. A girl carrying a pail ran to greet them. Hello, Lakti, Grandmother Elf said. Meet my friends Jamelia, Alexandra, and Campbell. The brownie girls peeked into Lakti's pail as she named what was inside. Mussels, sea urchins, and two kinds of fish, Arctic char and whitefish. The girls stared into the pail, but Lakti's eyes were on the bookmobile. Lakti and her friends and family knew many stories. They were members of the Ungava Unit, a group of native people from far up in the eastern Canada. Ungava means towards the open water. The unit known so many stories, we sometimes have trouble remembering all of them, Lakti said. We would love to record them. Maybe we could put them in a bookmobile. I have ways to help you do that, Grandmother Elf said. After all, hearing stories from long ago is so much fun. Those stories are your very own folk tales. Folk tales are made-up stories passed from generation to generation. Folk tales are often told out loud, like Little Red Riding Hood is a folk tale. Lakti's great aunt was a storyteller. Every week, villagers gathered to hear her tales. The stories she told were passed down to her by older storytellers, and those older storytellers heard them from even older storytellers. Some stories were about things that happened hundreds of years ago. Does she tell stories about sea creatures like the ones in your bucket? Jamelia asked. Sometimes, Lakti answered. Before you meet her, do you want to see how we fish when the water in the bay is frozen? Awesome, said Alexandria. Lakti explained that she lives on the shore of the Hudson Bay, which stays frozen all winter. She led them to the spot with the hole in the ice. The hole was the size of a small plate. The air was icy cold. The girls clapped their hands as Lakti dropped her fishing line into the hole and jiggled it to catch the attention of a fish. You have to watch carefully so you don't miss when the fish bites, she said. My friends and I swap stories to pass the time. Do you ever do that? Just then, Lakti felt a tug on the fishing line. She reeled it out of the hole and dropped the wriggling fish into her bucket. Hooray! The girls shouted. Now you try, said Lakti. Time flew by as the girls talked and pulled their 3 more fish. Before they knew it, Lakti's bucket was full. Now let's go see my great aunt, Lakti said. The girls took turns carrying the buckets as they hurried to Lakti's house on the shore. Grandmother Elf greeted them. How about a hot drink? Some tea, perhaps, or hot cocoa? Lakti smiled. And some aquatica? Campbell repeated the word repeatedly to Lakti had said it. What's a kuta? It's our ice cream, Lakti answered. It's sweet and fluffy with berries. You'll love it. Cups of hot cocoa warmed the girls' hands, and they sipped. Lakti took out all the makings of laquata. Laquata means mix them together. In our Yupik language, she explained. Every family has its own recipe. Ours uses boiled fish and sugar and lots of berries. blueberries, blackberries, and cranberries. The girls mixed everything together. When everyone had their fill of the fluffy treats, Lakti invited them to meet their great aunt Mary. The girls brought Mary a bowl of the ice cream. They all settled in a half circle around her. Once, when I was about Lakti's age, my great-grandmother handed me a beautiful piece of green stone. She said, "It was time for me to learn to carve." Mary talked about the tools and the arts of the carving, and how each carver sees a shape in the stone. In our village, we can just look at the carving and tell who made it, Lakti said. Each artist has her own style. Lakti and her great aunt showed the girls small carvings of the girls and mother with children. "I want to carve a baby riding in the hood of her grandmother's parka," she said. "That will take time." "And patience," said Campbell, "just like fishing, or like anything else you want to do well," said Aunt Mary, "even telling stories." Then Lakti remembered, "Aunt Mary, Grandmother Elf, and has new ways for us to keep our stories." Great Aunt Mary smiled. "Everything's in the bookmobile." Grandmother Elf said, "Let's go." Once in the bookmobile, Grandmother Elf pulled out a camera, a video camera, and a laptop. "There are so many ways to tell stories," she said. "You don't always have to write them down. You could take photos, or make sketches, or use a video camera." She handed Lakti some notebooks with the cameras and the laptop. Sometimes it's good to have stories saved in more than one way, in a notebook, on the video, or in the computer file. Then if one gets lost or damaged, you and your friends will still have another copy of the story. Lakti thanked everyone. Aunt Mary gave each girl a teeny stone carving of the fish as a souvenir of their visit. "I hope we can come back to fish again with you someday," Alexandria said. Lakti and her great aunt smiled. "We hope so too," Lakti said, and she waved goodbye. Brownie Elf turned to the girls. "Let's get you home so you can tell stories of your adventures to this wide world of girls." The girls settled into the bookmobile and poof! Before they knew it, they were back to the park in their hometown of Greensfall. They stood in the sunshine in the same clothes they had on before they left. Their parkas were gone. Jamelia picked up the jump rope that they left behind before their adventures. "Let's finish our jump rope song," she said. The girls huddled and they started singing. In Jordan we met Shali and all her cousins too. Her reading got much better and we saw what girls could do. Josita showed us Thailand. We tried a brand new dance. We brought new books for children so they'll have a better chance. We met Lakti in the Arctic. She had so many tales to share. She will save her aunt's stories with the tools that we brought there. "That was good," said Jamelia. "Let's keep going. You're good storytellers," Grandmother Elf said. "Meeting girls around the world inspired you." "That's right," Brownie Elf said. "And now, Grandmother and I must be going." "It's just one more verse, please," Campbell said. Together the girls sang the final verse. "Our special friends from Scotland, a world of girls they've shown. Now we can make things better with great stories of our own." They stopped jumping and turned to say thank you. Brownie Elf and her grandmother smiled. Then poof! They and the bookmobile were gone just like that. I can't wait to draw pictures that tell stories of what we all did. "Remember how Chosita danced that old story?" asked Jamelia. "I'm going to dance new stories for the girls everywhere. I'll build a bookmobile to hold our stories," Campbell said. The girls laughed. Then, their passports safe in their pockets, they headed home. The end. So that was the end of all the stories. So I will see you guys at our next meeting.